and welcome to Liquid Lunch. It's Thursday. It's getting near the end of October. It's me, Hugh Sanders, here today.
What day is it today, Hugh?
It's Thursday.
What date?
The 29th.
Awesome.
Right?
We should be having the show outside.
Why?
Because it's beautiful, and I don't know how many beautiful days we're going to have.
It's kind of chilly out there.
Oh, actually, what? You're not Canadian.
Well, it's not really that. Well, you're
gorgeous.
from Sudbury, so that doesn't count. You're in a different league.
Well, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know what? We have shows on igloos.
On top of the igloo?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Or that, okay.
Yes, we
Have you ever built an igloo?
No, actually, I haven't.
No?
No, I haven't. No, I'd be afraid of sticking it or something.
Has Memphis built an igloo? Because he's from Sweden.
Yes, actually, that's funny. I was dying to tell you this. When I was about 4 or 5, my friend Andre and I don't know where we got the knowledge from, we built an igloo that the two of us could actually fit in, and we were just getting comfortable when his Great Dane came through the roof.
His Great Dane came through the roof?
Oh my gosh, that would be
His
so
very large
funny.
Great Dane. There was a little hole in the roof, and I guess he wanted to know what the hell we were doing, so he just climbed in.
That's funny. So,
He probably heard you inside. It was like, oh, I can't fit into the door. I'm just going on top.
That's right.
Right.
yeah, stuff like that.
Stuff like that.
So
something like that.
where are you from in Sweden? Memphis?
Well, I always thought it was this college town that called Karlshamn that some friends of mine, DOA actually, told me that they had played Karlshamn and it was a college town. And then years later, I find out from the Swedish government when I went to get my birth certificate that I wasn't born in Karlshamn, and I can't remember where the hell I was born. It was somewhere about 100 miles from Karlshamn.
So we don't know Swedish geography that much.
Karlshamn is near Malmo.
Malmo, that's where they have a building just like the Marilyn Monroe Towers. It's in Mississauga.
Really?
Yeah.
So you know more about Sweden than I do.
Well, I know about that just because I
like Marilyn Monroe. Or
well,
towers.
The towers.
No, he knows more about Marilyn Monroe.
No,
Maybe he knows a lot about architecture.
some things about architecture. I always wanted to pretend that I was an architect.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying?
I even got a huge book on the history of architecture.
See, look at that.
Never cracked it, not once. I have a friend who's studying architecture. I hope.
So you're a wannabe.
And she kind of, she doesn't look like Marilyn Monroe, but she is a part-time burlesque dancer. So.
And architect.
And architect.
Okay, there seems to be some commonality
See,
here.
maybe she designed these buildings.
It's possible.
After herself.
Yeah, after herself. And or Marilyn Monroe. Okay, this is Memphis Deville. He's our first guest today on Liquid Lunch. In Memphis, you were on the show a few years ago.
When it was radio.
When it was radio.
Yeah.
And
That
here you are,
radio.
it's video. And I ran into you on the street with Steve.
Yes.
Stevie, rock and roll Steve.
That's right.
And here you are,
Here I am.
right?
Yes.
And we're going to talk about what you do, and you brought your guitar, so it may be musical.
Yes, it may be. On the other hand, it may be just caustic and noisy. But, yeah. What I do essentially is blues improvisation. I take blues structures and essentially I improvise off them.
So is this kind of like jazz for blues?
It does have elements of jazz. My music is primarily blues based, but it has elements of funk and jazz and all kinds of goodies.
Well, why don't we hear something right now just to put us in
The
know,
blues.
instead of talking about it, you can just show us. Right?
Sure. give you an idea.
So did you just make that up?
Yes.
Were you just improvising?
Essentially,
That's
yeah.
what you do, right?
I make
That's what you
stuff
do.
up, yeah. Because I'm not the kind of person who has the patience to learn other people's stuff note for note. So
you just make it up. Well, that's another thing he has in common with you, Hugh.
Why?
He makes things up.
I don't get it. I don't understand, Sandra. Know what I'm saying?
I'm just kidding.
So,
that was really amazing. Really amazing.
really,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah. It's just I was watching your hands, and it's very, very much one with the instrument. Very, very. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
like
it was,
you merge.
yeah. Well, after all these years, something had to happen.
How many years has it been, Memphis?
Well, I've been playing music all my life, but I didn't really. I don't know. I probably never have gotten serious about the guitar, but I've been playing the guitar since I was about. Well, I took my first lessons when I was 15, hated them, quit for 3 years, and started playing like 3-chord Bob Dylan songs and stuff when I was 18. And
So then you started rather late, because 18's kind of late.
Oh, yeah. Guitar I started late, yeah. Music I started very early. I played violin, and then I spent several years absolutely in love with the trumpet, which I can't play.
Wow.
I can't play a single note on a trumpet anymore, or a violin, come to think of it. And then I did a couple of years of piano, and finally sort of gravitated towards the guitar.
see, that's very echoes of my own musical experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I started on cello,
Uh-huh.
and then
Wow.
I played trumpet in high school,
Yeah.
and then I just taught myself to play the piano
Wow.
because it's just pressing buttons.
In a way, yeah. I love the piano, though, but all I can do now on a piano is play the blues and C.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm lost.
So are you saying that the piano is easier for you than the actual bass or guitar?
No, I'm just saying that. Well,
'Cause I guess
no,
it'd be challenging.
of
Like, I
course
could
not.
see how. No, well, actually, I could see how it would be,
It's just like.
but
yes.
challenging in other ways. Because a guitar would be very hard on the fingers, right? You do have to get hard.
Well, yeah. I mean, most people who play guitar, if they do play when they're relatively young, are going to hurt themselves initially.
Yeah.
Yeah, bass is easier. It's 4 big strings, one note at
Yeah,
a time.
yeah.
And they're thicker.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
thick
Doesn't
strings.
hurt as much,
That's
yeah,
why I chose
yeah.
trumpet. 3 valves. How can you go wrong?
Yeah.
That sax looked a little complicated.
Yeah, no kidding. I tried sax once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got somewhere in the last 20 some odd years, for a while, I had one of those newfangled electronic saxophones.
Oh yeah, there's
Yeah.
such a thing.
Yeah, there was, yeah. You could actually pick them up at Simpsons or somewhere.
Oh boy. Okay, so Memphis, so this is what you do now. With all that kind of musical background, I'm just like, have you ever put a band together?
Oh, yeah. I've been in a few bands, and I've tried, to get something going with bands or duos or whatever. And I've done a lot of. I was a singer-songwriter for some 20-odd years, and did a lot of solo work in clubs. But one of the things I find a lot of the time other musicians are very difficult to work with. Not in terms of being a-holes or anything, but the bass player doesn't show up for 3 hours, and then he's got some lame excuse.
Artistic license? Is that what they call that?
What?
Artistic license? Is that what?
Well, if I was actually footing the bill, they'd call that "you're fired."
Yeah.
Okay, that's true. But I
But-
mean, wouldn't it hard to be in a band, Memphis, if you are all improvisation? Because it's not like
No,
how do you
because
rehearse?
that's what jazz musicians do. I mean, it's pretty well. I mean, there's a structure. Improvisation isn't without structure. You have a tune, a melody, a head. You have some harmonic structure going there. It's not
something
all
to work
make
from.
believe. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, primarily, jazz players or at least jazz players who aren't just simply imitating somebody else's solos note for note, which does happen. I mean, especially with the well-educated ones from Humber.
There still has to be some structure, though. Even within jazz, there has to be some structure because you're playing with other people.
Of course, yeah.
Right?
No matter what you're doing, you have some structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you sing
well,
too?
perhaps you don't, but
Unless you're Frank Zappa or.
Oh well,
Just do your own thing, Keith
Oh,
Richards.
there's another story for probably another time. It's too damn long to tell. But I spent about 2 weeks with Zappa and the Mothers in Montreal. Must have been the 60s. I was about 20 years old.
How did you and what happened, Memphis? Come on, that's gold.
Okay, all right. I was staying with a friend of mine on Rue La Gauchetière down in Chinatown.
Yeah.
And she had a kid. And she says to me one day, I mean, she really got around, actually. At one time, she dated Chuck Berry on a regular basis. And but this was before Chuck. And she says to me one day, she brings me the kid, who's maybe, I don't know, 5?
Yeah.
And says, take him up to the new Penelope in the afternoon around 2 o'clock, sit him down in front of the stage, and you sit cross-legged behind him. Frank won't say anything. So I went to every bloody rehearsal, and they were on for, 2 weeks or something?
Uh-huh.
And I went to every rehearsal and took the kid there, and Frank never said anything. And then in the evenings, we would go to because the stage part was separate from the bar, and it was a huge bar. And the kid's mother, and believe it or not, Patrick Lord Shaughnessy, who if Conrad Black and Chrétien hadn't gotten into an argument, would be now sitting in the House of Peers in London, except he passed. So now his cousin, and here's an odd story too, his cousin, who is the guy who plays the Englishman in The Nanny, is now has the spot that Patrick would have had, but Patrick died. Anyway, Patrick and what the hell was her name? I can't remember now. Anyway, we would go, and we'd go walking in, and Frank could be sitting separately with his wife or girlfriend or whatever, and every evening he would, that was the only time he would speak to me, he would say, "Good evening, young man, how are you?" And I would go get rip-roaring drunk with Patrick Lord Shaughnessy and Margot,
Wow.
and seated across from me for the whole evening, and this was every evening. Getting totally hammered was Jimmy Carl Black, the drummer for the Mothers.
Is he the weird-looking guy on the "We're Only in It for the Money" album?
Probably, yeah. He's the one who looks like Captain Hook.
Yeah, okay. So Frank Zappa was doing a regular, like he was there for like a month. And what year was that? Would that have been?
60... Jesus, I don't know, 66, 67, 67 maybe?
I actually want to know more about this.
I was 20, so 67. Yeah.
I want to know more about this woman. How does she happen to know all these people?
Yeah, how did she know Frank and all that?
I don't know. I guess she was just a bold person who kind of inserted herself into people's lives.
Well, good on her.
So, okay, so Memphis, because I know you were around in those days, but I want to ask you, just for no reason whatsoever, but since we're talking about those classic rock stars, what about Paul McCartney? Do you think he was replaced in 1966?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, because nobody could be that. Nobody could find anybody that lame.
What? How could you say he's lame? Magneto and Titanium Man? Come on.
I think, well, I mean, a lot of his stuff was really a bit too, doesn't mean, I didn't like some of his stuff. I do. My preference for any of the Beatles, actually, I really think that when they rock and they rock hard, they're really good.
Yeah, they rock hard as anybody.
They do.
Yeah.
And, but it's, a lot of the mellower stuff, I'm kind of...
Because he's the replacement. The first Paul McCartney would have been rocking hard.
Well, are you wearing your tinfoil under that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't have an opinion one way or the other. I'm not.
So you think there were 2 Paul McCartneys?
Well, you don't know about this?
No.
Actually, probably they were triplets.
Somebody said there's 2 Ringos, too. You know what I'm saying?
I once got drunk with the Everly Brothers.
You did?
Yeah.
What were they like?
Separate but equal. One of them sat way over there during dinner, and the other one sat at the table with the people, because they were not speaking to each other on a kind of permanent.
But they wrote some great songs. Just name one of their songs so we all know.
Kathy's Clown.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Name another one. Okay.
Holy shit.
It's not a test.
I should be able to, but
Yeah, this is not a
Clown.
test.
I want to hear that song now. Kathy's
Oh
Clown.
my God.
all I have to do is dream.
Oh, yeah.
Dream,
I know that
dream,
one.
dream, dream, dream.
Okay, go for it, Hugh. Sing.
I don't know if that F minor belongs.
Yeah, we don't know if that's what it is.
Still sounds good to me.
So Memphis, okay, and you were there in the Yorkville days.
I was.
What was that like?
It was pretty wild.
What was happening?
Well, a lot of acid.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yes. Incredible amount.
You sent me an email recently, and it had something to do with the CIA, and maybe it had something to do with the fact that, because some people are saying that the CIA was partly responsible for the influx of acid.
That was probably it. Yeah, they funded a lot of acid research, and in fact, I can't remember what the main kernel of that discussion was, but it was something that, the average person would certainly have been totally shocked.
Yeah, I think it was. They were. Some people are blaming them because the peace and love thing, which is kind of antithetical to the dominant culture,
right.
Early '60s, right? And
Right.
then all the drugs came in, right?
Mm-hmm. And but certainly I don't think there was any mention of them supporting Augustus Stanley Osley, the guy who was
made all the acid.
Yes, yeah, he was the light and sound man for the Dead.
Yeah,
and yes, he didn't make all of the acid, but he certainly made the wickedest and the best.
Well, some people are even saying that even Jerry Garcia might have been a CIA asset, and Ken Kesey as well.
That's hilarious. Next they'll be saying that Fidel Castro was a CIA.
Well, everything goes. Everything's equal.
Sure.
But separate.
Why not? Sure. Yeah.
You don't think so? Owsley? Maybe he was one of them too.
Oh, sure. That's why
Everybody. Sounds like.
Yeah, everybody was a CIA asset at one time or another. And now they're all out there hunting each other down because they're trying to tie up loose ends. So watch
exactly.
How do I know you people aren't packing? Nobody searched you on the way in here.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Well, that's funny.
Well, do you want to do another little little improv thing,
Yeah,
and then we can.
I'm actually, I'm cognizant of the fact that you're getting other people in here and stuff, so I'm trying to keep it somewhat brief. Because I could go on like Jerry Garcia forever.
Well, are you a CIA asset?
I can't answer that.
Well, while you're just give us a little performance here, and then think about what you really want to leave us with today in terms of information or a message or a story. That was a great Frank Zappa story, but
I like the Igloo story too. I like the Great Dane story.
the what?
The Great Dane story. See, we forgot already.
Green River.
This is just too much.
Get down with
Very
that.
nice, Memphis.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So let's now. Where can people see you playing? I know you. I saw you out that day on Bathurst and Bloor, but where can people check you out?
Next Thursday, actually, I have a gig at Sky Blue Sky Sandwich Company on King Street, 333 King Street East,
Well,
at between 2 and 4
very nice.
in the afternoon.
Very nice.
Is
Where
that
is
the
that?
Sun
That's near the
Building?
Toronto Sun Building,
Yeah,
isn't
is
it?
that the
It
Sun?
is near the Toronto Sun Building.
That is the Toronto
I think
333.
so.
Pretty
I think
much,
so,
yeah.
Oh,
They
that's great.
sold out because they can't make money since Pierre Carl bought it, sold his soul to the PQ devil. You know what I'm
So
saying?
what is it now then?
What?
Well, he did that. He did all that.
Who is it?
Pierre Carl Pelledo.
I don't know. Who he is.
He's this, Quebecois. His dad built a company up, and it's a big pulp and paper printing company.
Ah.
They bought the Sun,
Right. Oh.
and then he, they borrowed so much money.
Oh, they're Quebec Corps.
Quebecois.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, everybody
So
knows.
now he's the leader of the PQ. Right?
Is he?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I used to work there. That's why I'm so mad.
He's got foil under there.
I've got anger.
He's got foil under there.
Anger issues.
Yeah. Well, I can recommend a really good, at least an amusing anger management shrink.
No. He's amusing?
Oh yeah. He's one of these guys that I've seen a few of them around. They dress like Freud.
They dress like Freud?
Yeah, they dress from another century, so they can look as much as possible like their idol.
But sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
I don't recall this guy smoking cigars.
Oh.
He was very good for very large Valium prescriptions.
Maybe he's the CIA.
All right.
He was with the CIA, that's right.
You never know.
So Memphis, okay. So you got the performance at 333 King East. When is that coming up?
Thursday.
Thursday.
I believe it's the 5th.
And then what else?
From 2 to 4 is what else. Actually, right now I don't have anything else coming up except really late, like about midnight, every Friday and Saturday on the corner of Bathurst and Bloor.
Yeah, that's right. It was late when we saw you.
Oh, you bet.
And that's so that's good. So people can check you out there. And anything else you want to leave us with today? We got your email address up there. People can get in touch. But,
Okay, good.
and,
Is there a dot in that?
Yeah, there's
Memphis
a dot.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure,
okay.
man.
All right.
But anything else you want to leave us with? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I suppose. Well, no. I mean, we have to leave it for another time because there are Bob Dylan stories and Jimi Hendrix stories and all kinds of crazy shit.
See, that's what happens. You guys were lucky.
We were lucky.
You
We
got-
really
you should
did
think,
it.
You should
We
think about
really
writing a
lived it.
book.
Yeah, you did that whole
Oh yeah,
Yorkville scene, man.
I'm not on air going to say who with, but I did my first acid trip with one of the Buffalo Springfield before he was a Buffalo Springfield.
Wow.
Interesting. Memphis, why don't you write a book?
Yeah.
I've been asked that many, many times, and oftentimes, oddly enough, when I sit down to write, I kind of look at what I'm writing and I'm going, fuck, I've heard that before. It's boring. And of course it's not. Other people really find it interesting. It's very difficult for me to kind of, but yeah, I should. Only, you see, there are ethical problems. They're like, I don't want to do a tell-all.
Well, just use pseudonyms.
Let people
now.
guess. Let people guess.
That's true. Or I could write the entire thing as a fiction and...
Or yeah, exactly. That's how they get away with it.
Yeah.
Captain of the Kings. That's how they did
Yeah,
that.
and all those,
You
and
know?
all those people that were hooked to into the CIA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, Memphis. It's been great to have you on. And people can get in touch and book you at other venues in the city, and
They can if they wish. Yes.
we'll probably see you at Bathurst and Bloor late on a Friday or Saturday night. Do you
Right, but if they're going to book me, I have one thing to say to them:
which is
bring money.
yeah. Okay,
Spoken
Memphis.
like a true musical artist in Canada.
Well, that's
Well, sick of starving, that's why.
Well, think about it. Think about that. Going back to that Frank Zappa, we're going full circle here on Liquid Lunch.
Yes.
Right? There was that album, their takeoff parody of the Sgt. Pepper album, which was the first album with the second Paul McCartney.
Of course.
Was called "We're Only in It for the Money."
Yes.
Right?
That's true.
So we're taking a full circle. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Memphis, for doing this.
Thank
Now what do we
you.
got coming up, Sandra? We
have James Board coming up.
talking about alien abductions.
And then we have Dr. Lana Marconi and Victor Vigiani to discuss The Resonance.
Which is
a
about
new
what?
film documentary about extraterrestrial life and why they're here.
And disclosure.
And
Are we going to talk
actually, disclosure and beyond disclosure.
and the blue avians? Are we going to talk about the blue avians?
Okay.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back with Alien Talk on Liquid Lunch. ThatChannel.com.